Hello, my name is William Ludwig. I'm an actor and singer and a passionate art lover, mainly because I believe that art can change the world for the better if we let it. It can challenge us and change our perception of the world around us. So I'm thrilled to be able to have a little conversation with Rosie Brooks today about her particular style of art. And to start off, Rosie, I would like to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
My name is Rosie Brooks. I'm an artist and illustrator, and I work predominantly in pen and ink and watercolour, non-digitally, and I work mainly with publishers, some advertising agents across the world.
Okay, and so publishers and advertising agents, that means you illustrate books?
Yeah.
And you illustrate?
Greetings cards, packaging,
Okay.
anything that illustration can go on to.
Okay. How long has this been your career?
Since my first professional commission, I think I got when I was about 7, so it's always been there in the background.
Okay.
Both my parents were graphic designers, and they met at Scholastic Books, so I grew up in a publishing household, so it's always been part and parcel of the furniture, and there was sketchbooks and paper everywhere when I was a child.
And would you say that, I mean, going back to when you were 7, or even going back to when you're a little bit older, do you think the inspiration for you to enter this specific business of illustration and art, do you think the guiding light or the leading light for you to become this was your background, or were there other influences that made you decide that this is what you were going to do?
I think there was an expectation that I would do that, and my parents were designers as opposed to illustrators, but it was always something that I loved doing. However, when I hit 16, I decided to do something else, and I went to Durham University and studied music instead, because I had an interest in classical music, and I had a slight concern that I was going to go down an avenue that was so narrow, too young and too early. I wanted to expand my mind more, and I thought music was a good subject to start with.
Do you think music and illustration or music and art are connected?
Very much, yeah. I think all arts are connected, and what's quite nice is because I studied music to quite a intense degree, the collaboration of the two things makes what I do feel quite unique. I'm in the music world, I exist as a vacuum. I'm one of the only there are other illustrators, but I'm one of the only illustrators that is that in deep in classical music. And in the illustration world, I'm now one of the few that still works in non-digital techniques, because digital has just taken over.
I think that's amazing. So we're going to see some of your artworks at some point, but how would you describe in words your artistic style, what you do and how you do it?
Pen and ink and watercolour, which means it's a dip-in pen with a specific nib that I have. It's a Leonard German nib, which I use, and then Indian ink, which then dries to create a shellac. Once that's dry, a watercolour wash over it.
Okay, it's quite a specific and elaborate technique that you use.
Yeah, and it's this I've been using pretty much the same materials, pretty much the same company since I was probably about 15, 16. I haven't varied it at all. It's the handwriting that I like to use.
And have you not varied it because you've tried other things and you didn't like them as much, or have you not varied it because you just love this and there was no need to try out other things?
Every time I've tried something else, I don't like it as much, and I've reverted back. I have, on a couple of trips to Asia over the last couple of years, I bought quite a lot of different inks, and I've tried lots of other different inks for experimenting, but certainly for commercial work, the most effective is the water-fast, water-resistant Indian ink, and then wash over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your creative process? So from when there is first an idea to when you have the finished artwork, what is the process that leads to that?
Well, ordinarily, I did a recent series with Oxford University Press, and they gave me a list of what the book was going to look like. It was a piano book for children, and they wanted illustrations to be at the top of every chapter. So there would be the title, and from that I would come up with the ideas, maybe 3 or 4 ideas for each title heading, and I would send them in pencil scamps they're called, I'd email them across to the editor, who would look at them, select things and move them around. And at the sort of rough pencil sketches stage, there's a lot of movement and a lot of conversations go on. And sometimes even the editors draw over what I've done. It's all very rough and ready. And then once we've sort of decided what it's going to be, at that point I will then go to ink, as it's known, and then I'll do the final artwork and send it across. Occasionally there might be something that they've realised it doesn't quite fit, or there's changes and things, but on the whole most of the corrections and amendments are done at the pencil stage.
So would you say that the start of the process is very much done by hand, then the middle bit all of a sudden turns digital because it has to be sent back and forth with corrections and all of that, and then the final artwork is going back to doing it by hand?
Very much, very much. All the communication, I mean, I'm not anti-technology. The use of being able to send large files and everything is so much easier than it was, say, 10 years ago. So there's a lot that can support us, but the actual creation of the artwork itself, I do offline. Okay.
And I know this is a bit of a weird question, because it's like asking what's your favourite piece of music, but do you have any favourite projects that do you have your top 2 favourite projects that you've done in your career?
I would say, well, recently I've really enjoyed working with Oxford University Press. It's been a project that's got bigger and bigger. We started on a couple of books, and now it seems to be evolving, and I'm really enjoying it because it's piano books. It's bringing in my musical interest. And when I first pitched to them as an illustrator, they sent a very nice letter back, and then when I spoke to someone on the phone, they said, "Oh, we didn't realise you actually played the piano."
Okay.
So it makes that, I'm really enjoying that for its remembering, learning from books like that when I was a child. It's really nice to think that those books are now going to be sitting on pianos all over the country.
All over the country and the world. It's incredible.
That's really
I think
lovely.
that's the thing that I find so incredible. You know, I think a sort of a unique art piece obviously is an amazing thing, but it only exists once. And the second you put something into print, which is still an art piece, the world can own it, and I think there's something really beautiful and magical about that. So you talked about this this particular project with
Oxford University Press.
So music and illustration. You said that they're connected. How do you think, in your particular life and work, do they influence each other, if at all?
Hugely. I listen to music constantly when I'm working. I know some people like to work in silence, but I have to have music on, and I tend to, it's very specific, I tend to have instrumental, non-vocal music if I'm concentrating on line work, and then if I'm just colouring things in and mapping stuff out, I can have any music, pop music, country music, anything. But when I'm concentrating, I have a sort of playlist which is concentrating music.
Okay. So you talked earlier on about your favourite ink and your favourite pen, the German
general drawing nib.
Drawing nib. Do you have how important is the paper that you use? Do you have a favourite paper? Do you only use one paper? Do you mix it up?
I'm still on a journey with that. I have, at the moment, I've got Cass Arts Heavyweight. There's one paper that works very well with the Winsor & Newton ink, because it doesn't bleed, because the problem with ink on most papers is that if there's any porousness in the paper, it will bleed, and it won't stay watertight, and it doesn't hold, because you want with the ink to create it's like a sort of shellac that then hardens. There are certain Bristol papers that do as well, so I think I'm still on a journey, because the paper that I've got I buy in vast supplies, but if ever run out I would have a problem. I've got a lifetime supply of nibs.
Okay. So what would happen, I know this is a ridiculous question, what would happen if they stopped making the paper?
I'd have to find an alternative, and there are other papers, and so but I have a supply of it, but it panics me. I wake up at night panicking about that. And with the nibs, I've covered my bases. With the ink, on the day lockdown started, when everyone else was buying loo roll, I bought vast amounts of ink.
I think that was a considerably better idea than loo roll, in my personal opinion. So you've decided, or you have been an illustrator since you were 7. If you think back, maybe not quite as far ago, and in your experience, in your first professional years of experience, and looking back now from where you are now, what advice would you be able to give to young aspiring illustrators in the year 2025?
Definitely carry a sketchbook. Have your phone on you. Phones, again, it's not a question of being anti-technology or anti the development of digital art. It's about being able to recognise that it doesn't mean that you can't develop things offline. And I think if you've got a sketchbook on you all the time, I always carry one. It means if you're sitting in a cafe waiting for a friend or something, it's just a small one, if you've got it under the table, you can draw the people. And it's not, taking a photograph of someone is an offensive thing to do, you definitely can't without permission, but catching the corner of someone's ear or something, just as reference to put in your bank for future use, is fine.
So can we find you in bars and cafes across London with your sketchbook
Yes,
in a corner?
Yeah. Little sketchbook. And airport lounges are perfect because everyone's asleep and
Okay.
people are very relaxed, and it's the last thing. People assume you're writing, so you're fine.
And what's next for you?
Well, the next project I've got coming up in September is the Operafinity Opera Festival in Toddy in Umbria. And I'm going to be the illustrator in residence for that, which I'm incredibly excited about. So
that's exciting. And that's going to be in September,
It's in September. I think I'm there from it's around the 8th to the 12th or something like that of September, and I'm going to take out all my sketchbooks, and they're going to do flash mobs with children. And it's a huge opera festival, so there's all sorts of master classes going on, but it's a lovely way to be connected to the opera world.
And again, it's the music and the illustration
it's music,
coming
it's
together.
pulling it all together, and it's sitting in the corner, it's no threat to anyone, which is really fun.
How exciting.
Yeah.
I wish you all the very best and a lot of fun for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rosie Brooks, for
much.
talking to me today. And if you want to find out anything else about Rosie or have a look at her artworks, you just need to go to www.rosiebrooks.com. Thank you very much.